if you seriously want to overcome depression and misery, then you really should. I would hope that you watch the video that I'm posting here. You know, do we all have these moments? We all have these moments. I'm sure we do, where we say something or we do something and we see it later. Maybe we took a video or someone else took a video, and we surprise ourselves that we said something or did something profound. And you know, it's not that what I'm saying is so profound. It's that I kind of hit all the bases where I wanted to go with it. I wish that I had said it with more impact. You know, as we all are, or many of us are, we are able to do things with more enthusiasm and do things with a lot of excitement. And then there are times we do things and we may have a lot of enthusiasm for them, but we do them kind of really like whatever, kind of like this. And that's how I'm doing this video. I'm just kind of like down here, kind of like this. And like, I could have put more of that enthusiasm in it. Wish I did. I didn't. But I wouldn't change a thing about what I said. So please watch. I hope it helps. And here you go. We talk about, in the last video, or in the last live, I was talking to you guys about what are assets that you think of? What do you think of when I ask you, to tell me what are some assets? And we got things, just like in the video I just posted. That was a little summary of the last live. And I did this is what I just made in the last video. And so I wrote it out very quickly, and yeah, it's a mess. All right, I said, tell me about things that are assets: house, cars, property, money, investments. Okay, great, we understand those things. To ask the question differently, what are the most important assets of your life? The answer changes. All right, it became things in that last live: family, health, things that are important to you, friends, okay, all those kinds of things. But then to say that there's another category of assets, like your education, your networks, your experience, okay? Those are important things too. How do you make that all come together though, so that you overcome failure? Well, you got to take the focus off yourself, all right? It's you are the thing that makes you sad because you've lost something. And when I'm talking about failure, this isn't just failure of like, oh, something has gone wrong. Like you couldn't get something done or failed in a task or something like a goal or a vision. All right, goal is a 4-letter word, but vision is important. But you understand. But what do you do? All right, well, I'm talking about really losing something. In my case, I lost my family. And I'm not going to get into how I lost my family. I lost my family, okay? That's what happened. It's been 8 years. And I had a lot going into that loss. When that happened, I had a lot that I ended up losing more of, because when I didn't have my family, there was nothing left for me to want to have anything else for. Okay? So you have to learn how do you overcome that? Well, like I said, you take the focus off of you. So I'm going to start by asking a question. I don't know if I'm going to get people actually. Now I'm like trying to read about who's coming in here. I don't know if I'm going to actually get some answers here, okay? But if I do, if I see them as we're asking these questions, then I'll use your answers. Otherwise, I'll use my answers. All right, I have all the right answers because I'm the one asking them, right? Okay, great. But laugh at the jokes. Get more free gifts. Here's what's happening. I want you to think about someone in your life, someone that made a positive impact, an influence for good in your life by the time you were 15 years old. Maybe you are only 15. Okay, someone who's doing a positive impact in your life right now. Whoever you are that's actually watching, okay? Think of who are the people that made an impact in your life, okay, when you were still young or at that age or around that age. And then I'm going to ask you to think about who they are, pick somebody, and then I'm going to ask you this question. Did they make an impact on you because they were an interesting person, or was it more that they were interested in you? Can you answer that? I'll wait. I've only got a few people. We just started this live, so there's only a few people here. But that's the question. I'll repeat it. If you're thinking of someone who could have impacted your life or had an impact on you when you were young, what was it about that person that was impactful, positively impactful to you? Was it because they were interesting or because they were interested in you? Okay. Well, all right, time's up. Answer is 9 times out of 10, you're going to get the answer. It's because they were interested in you. That's how they are able to make that positive impact. So how does that play into overcoming failure? All right, well, it's funny. I was doing lectures about this and actually going on tours and speaking to people across parts of the country, mostly just around where I live, but I was around different parts of the country doing this back in 2005, 6, 7, and 8. And so I've had these answers for a long time. What amazes me is how long it took for me to figure out how to apply them to myself after everything that happened, after all the loss. This is what happened, starting to realize you build back the asset category, the one you lose, when you lose the asset category of the things that are most important to you, your family, your health. Remember, I was dying of a brain tumor. I had lost my family. I think all kinds of awful things happened, okay? So then what was it, okay? To start bringing back my desire to want to be an effective person, the only thing I could do was to take the focus off of me, off of what was miserable, off of what made me feel like crap, and being interested in others. And actually being interested in others. Not just showing interest in others, but really actually being interested in what other people would do. And then letting them see that interest. And, I'm an older person. I'm going to be 50 this year. All right. And I know a lot of people don't believe me when I say that, but I am older. Okay. And the people that know me or have been around me, they realize, when they talk, I've got experience. And I don't think of that as something that's valuable when I'm speaking to people. But I see that people that are younger, they see the value in it at times. And when you show interest in other people, they're going to want to start hearing the things that you have to say. And so it started with people showing interest in me as I showed interest in them. And as they showed interest in me, it taught me that what I had to say could be something of value, and I was more open and willing to share. And I started to bring back a core. And remember, it was that core. Remember, those things that you lose, you could lose those 3 asset categories identified the last time that we did this. There's only one that you lose where it takes away your ability to be effective anymore. You could lose everything else and all the others. Doesn't matter. You're fine. But when you lose that one, it can throw everything else off. I started to rebuild myself, my ability to believe that I had something to contribute, because I accidentally stumbled upon just showing interest in others because I was genuinely interested in others. That's just part of me and my personality. As I started to pick up on that more, I started to show more of that interest. I started to build back more of a core of people who were interested in me because I was interested in them. Their interest was what began to create the healing I needed for me, okay? So when you've lost everything, in my case, it really was all the way around, losing my health, my family, everything, okay? But if you've lost everything, those things that are in your core, all right? And for those of you that may have missed other things that describe what the core is, one of these days we can all come together again. I can show you what the core is, okay? But when you lose your core and you find that you are not effective anymore, and you find that you are not able to get past a certain point of progress and things, and then you just continue to fail, there are things that you need to do to rebuild your core. And there are other answers about how to rebuild a core, okay? But unless you've got something that brings people to you, some people have money and it just automatically attracts other people. That's not a great way to attract people, but it can work. I'm not saying it should work, and usually doesn't. But if it does, it may bring people to you, and you may be able to work out a core of people actually that mean something to you, where they care more about you than your money. That's hard to find, but I'm not going to say it can't happen. It just usually doesn't. But whatever the way is that you start to genuinely generate a core of people, things that are important, things that are things that you can do something for the benefit of, maybe a charity, maybe for simply seeing the good of others, all right, being interested in a group, not necessarily a person or a set of people, but an entire group. All right, when I say set of people, I mean like 2 or 3, but I'm talking about groups of people, like as in doing charity work. I did a lot of charity work. And that is part of what I'm talking about, where I showed my interest in my core, or in rebuilding my core. I did a lot of charity work. And I found things that were important to me. And as you do that, that is what you start to rebuild and stand on. And that's what gives you a foundation for wanting to actually be successful, for wanting to actually not just have success, but something to want to continue to build upon it for, so that you have someone to give. Not necessarily give money, but to give of the benefit of the work from that experience, from what you're doing to rebuild that core, what you're doing to rebuild. Like, if I have success, it's not just about having success and assets of that success, like money and whatever else, but someone to share the benefit of the experience of what that was, how I did it, how they could maybe take something that I did and apply it to something that they're doing, and how it can help them. All right. Once you start rebuilding that core, that success begins to build on itself. And it can be a slow process. For me, it took 8 years to get to the point where I started figuring it out, even though I already had all the answers that I'm giving because of the talks I was giving, a decade ago. I'd never experienced anything like that where I had that kind of loss, so I never had to apply it before that way. Once I had the experience of needing to apply it, that's when it began to happen. But I had to open my eyes to it. The misery kept my eyes closed for a long time. And misery is going to do that. Don't underestimate the power of wallowing in misery. I know that sounds terrible, but if you've had an impactful thing, a horrible thing happen to you, you've got to experience your misery. Try to overcome it too quickly, and one day it's going to come out and grab you and take you. Just let yourself go through it. I could sit here and cry with you and talk about how awful it is, and if you want to watch somebody cry, I could cry for hours about all of it. I really could. But that's not what we're doing here today. All right? So that is the bulk of what I'm going to share in this live. Didn't really get much interaction from too many of you, so hopefully as we move forward in this series. What's funny is that the first video I had in the series, I actually took it out, but the commentary and the things that were there were good to help me figure out where to put my focus in for what I'm doing now, so I appreciate that. So having said that, that's where I'm going to leave it for you today, and I'm going to continue this series, but moving forward, it's going to be more about how can you apply it in ways that are meaningful to different people, not just the way that was meaningful to me, but how it could be meaningful to others, or how you might be able to share that meaning for the benefit or the sake of others. All right, so hey, thanks for watching, and hope to see you again the next time around.